At the core of our experience lies a fundamental tension between the world as perceived through the senses and the underlying spiritual reality. This discourse will investigate the pitfalls of relying solely on sensory impressions, revealing how such reliance can obscure the true nature of existence, even for beings of a spiritual nature. We will explore how aligning our perception with the light of heaven can bring a greater, albeit imperfect, understanding of reality. If angels and benevolent spirits were to be guided by their sensory impressions, thinking in terms of space and time, they would perceive and believe they possessed a life separate from the divine life. This illusion would arise because that separateness is how things would appear to their senses. The connection to the divine life is not something that can be seen or felt through the senses. Therefore, the natural mind struggles to understand or even accept that such a connection and dependence exist. When sensualism dominates both the will and the intellect, an inherent desire emerges for all power to originate and center within the self. The self becomes the god of the sensualist, leading to the delusional belief that their conscious life is self-generated and self-reliant. This fosters a profound aversion to the idea that life is continually derived from another source and is not inherently one's own. In the teachings for spiritual Christianity, sensuous spirits were shown that believing in external space offers them no advantage. The same objects would be experienced regardless of that belief, and their sensory consciousness remains unchanged, whether it be derived or underived from another. By acknowledging life as derived, they would align their thoughts with what is true, moving away from the delusion that arises from drawing conclusions from the fallacies of the senses, conclusions that are unreal and lifeless. This distinction between the real and unreal worlds constitutes the core difference between the spiritual and the natural worlds. The spiritual world is real because it appears to heavenly beings exactly as it is, the product of a convergence of spiritual or mental causes. These causes consist of interconnected minds, all harmoniously receptive to the one divine life. Conversely, the natural world is unreal because the natural mind's perceptions are shaped by the fallacy of sensory appearance. As phenomena, both worlds appear external to the thinking individual, yet one is real and the other is not. In the real world, the light of life is not dimmed or extinguished by the deceptive light of the senses because it is governed by the spiritual truths of the Lord's Word. The teachings for spiritual Christianity explain that we can give reality to the objects of this world's light by allowing the light of heaven to illuminate them. This does not mean that the natural flow of human thought can be permanently altered, as such a transformation would equate to entering another life, what the natural person terms death. However, it can be altered to the degree that the objects of this world's light can adequately and correspondingly unite with the states of mind associated with the light of heaven. The level of this union may be limited and far from perfect. We may not be able to perceive truth as a continuous, unbroken stream of light, or to think purely in a spiritual manner. Living in the natural world, we remain subject to natural states of mind, and so can only ever catch fleeting glimpses of the reality that truly is. Despite these constraints, our imperfect insight into truth can reassure us that thinking in this way is to intellectually engage with the spiritual world, giving reality and life to what would otherwise remain lifeless and unreal. Understanding the difference between sensory and spiritual perception is essential. The spiritual mind perceives reality through the light of life, revealing the true nature of existence. In contrast, the natural mind, dominated by sensualism, remains trapped within delusion. By aligning our perceptions with spiritual truths and allowing heaven's light to enlighten our understanding, we can begin to perceive reality as it truly is, albeit imperfectly. This alignment not only enriches our intellectual experience, but also brings a deeper, more profound sense of reality and vitality to our perceptions.